So season 1 of The Last of Us has been streaming on HBO Max, and it's yet another hit TV show that's pulling in massive viewership week after week. And it's safe to say it's been a huge success for the streaming platform, and it's based on a PlayStation game. Whether or not you fully agree, it is a cliche at this point that all video game adaptations suck.
It's garbage!
So just how did The Last of Us overcome this stigma? There's so many adaptations that I can think off the top of my head that were complete failures. You got Prince of Persia, you got Uncharted, you got Mortal Kombat, you got Assassin's Creed, Need for Speed. And I think what those adaptations got wrong was that they were afraid of remaking the game and essentially repackaging the video game as a movie. It seems like maybe they don't fully trust the source material would translate. Instead of following the game, they opted to create some sort of spin-off, whether it was adding new characters, setting it in a different period of time, having a different story entirely but with a few of the same characters, but just loosely connected to the world of the game. And they cherry pick certain characters and certain items and certain scenes and set pieces as like Easter eggs to appease the fans of the game. The Last of Us is by no means a direct one-to-one carbon copy and paste of the video game to a TV show, but importantly, it does follow the core of the game pretty much note for note. It's unmistakable when you compare the game to the show. It is quite literally a TV version of the video game's story, and even reflects some of the gameplay eerily accurately. And because you aren't just playing a single character and stuck with their point of view, the show has variations showing different points of views and providing a broader context to the world. And the creators of the show are Craig Mazin, who created the Chernobyl miniseries, which is absolutely great, and Neil Druckmann, who actually co-directed the original game. So it's already clear from the background that there's integrity and care for the source material there, because they literally brought in the guy that worked on the original material. Another thing The Last of Us did well is that yes, while it follows the main story arc of the game, it uses the difference in medium from a single player video game to a TV miniseries to really build out the foundation of the world that the game just hadn't or couldn't. Examples of this are like the opening scene in the pilot with the scientists talking about the potential of a world-ending disaster with the mushrooms infecting everyone and building a deeper relationship with Sarah. In the game, we play as her very briefly in the beginning, but all those things move so quickly. In the show, it really lets us marinate with her. We have a whole episode with her as the main character. We go through her sort of daily routine, interacting with the neighbors, interacting with people at the watch shop, and of course interacting with Joel, who was definitely a side character in that pilot. And then of course the big change with Bill and Frank, and having a whole episode dedicated to their relationship and backstory. That's alluded to in the game, but not explicitly portrayed. The story and the character relationship is what's so good about the game. So it was important for them not to be afraid to retread on those beats and to retell the same story. It's essentially like rewatching your favorite movie. You know the story, but the story is so good, you'd watch it again anyway. But this time it's even better because it's got a different spin on it. While you think you might know how things go, they might actually change a little or deviate, and you're sort of looking out for those little nuances. And that keeps you intrigued as well. I think this balances both fans of the game as well as new viewers really well, because both parties can appreciate how good this story is. If you just try to exclusively build on and spin off what was established in the game, you alienate the new viewers that lack that context. It's also really important to note that The Last of Us is a TV series rather than a movie. You can sort of appreciate that it's extremely difficult to condense hours and hours of gameplay and content into just a feature-length film. What makes the game special is that you play as a character. You literally are Joel. And you're speaking and spending time with Ellie as you move through this world, trying to survive, and you have the time to really develop that relationship with the characters because they're literally interacting with you. This just isn't gonna feel the same in a movie, where instead we're watching two characters on screen interact and watching their relationship grow. So it takes a bit more time for us to really get invested to the point that we are in the games. And this trickles down to my next point, which is the importance of casting. The job of the actors is really important, as always, but especially when adapting to characters that people know and love. And it's different from adapting from a book, because you literally have these cutscenes that can be compared to the show side by side. The actors really need to be able to bridge that gap between the character in the game and their own interpretation of the character. And you need the audiences to buy in fairly quickly, because you just don't have the hours playing the video game to grow to care about them. A clear example in my mind of the casting gone wrong was Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg in Uncharted. Immediate audience reactions were that they couldn't really buy Tom Holland as a young Nathan Drake, and his performance in the movie didn't really change anyone's mind. You can't really imagine this guy growing up to be this guy. Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey have done a terrific job. While they don't look identical to their video game counterparts, they clearly were cast with the purpose of portraying Joel and Ellie in a more grounded way, and their interpretation of the characters feel like an homage to the game, while also adding their own personal touch and interpretation. But I think what's important to note is that each video game adaptation is different. What The Last of Us game had was a really special story about loss and survival, and at the crux of it, there was the development of a genuine father and daughter connection. Having a game that's just as much about the storyline and having strong characters and relationships as the action and suspense already gives it a leg up in terms of an on-screen adaptation, compared to say a Need for Speed, that is a game that's focused on fast cars. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.